This is the plaintiff, Stephen. He says he was hired by the defendant to tweak a script for a film. And once the work was complete, she refused to pay him the balance of his fee. The defendant's original script was horrible. It was obviously written by an amateur, and he polished it up and made it great. He deserves to be paid and is suing for the $5,191.80 he's owed. This is the defendant, Trish. She says the plaintiff totally rewrote her script, changed the characters, and used bad words in what was a family film. It's like he was hired to paint her house and he painted her car instead. Oh, and for ruining her great movie? No way. She's accused of stiffing a screenwriter. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $10,000. For all, she's now out.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff was hired by the defendant to tweak a terrible script for a film. He did it, but he got stiffed. Now, the defendant says the plaintiff rewrote the script and made it dirty, super dirty. It's the case of fade to black, then sue.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Stephen, you are suing Trish for $5,191.80 that you say she owes you for a script. You counterclaimed against him for $10,000, money that you are out because the script, according to you, that he delivered was garbage. Let me hear from you first.
Okay. I am a 25-year veteran screenwriter and television writer. So why I'm here is I was contacted by the defendant's producing partner that they had a script. They had just fired the writer-director or a rewriter-director, and they were looking for someone to do a rewrite on this comedy script and to also direct it.
Now, what kind of movie was this going to be?
This is a family comedy. The previous writer-director has nothing to do with this.
I'm sorry, did you fire him?
I did fire him because...
What was the problem?
What was the problem? He wanted to rewrite the script, and the script, it took him 4 weeks to do 8 pages. We had shooting dates in October. This was in July.
How did you have shooting dates already on a script that you weren't happy with? Because you hired him because you weren't happy with the script.
We were happy with the script, and last minute, the investor says, I think we need to add more jokes and make it funnier. And I was like, okay, we have time to do that. So that's why I was introduced to Steve through my colleague.
Who wrote the original script? You?
No. The original writer is a person that pursued me to write a project, this family feature. A colleague of mine, a friend of mine, a guy that had never directed before, kind of convinced me that he could do this. Then he was fussing about the script. So he said at the last minute, the only way he wanted to really direct the film was if he could rewrite it.
So that's the person who you dismissed?
It took him 4 weeks to write 8 pages, and it was horrible. The investor said it was horrible. Everybody said it was horrible.
So this is the second person who you hired to rewrite it? Or,
yes.
or to make changes to it?
Right. The director, I didn't hire him to make the changes.
Okay. So what was the agreement between you two?
The agreement was that I was to read the script, which I did. I have a very detailed email where I wrote out that I thought the script was in really bad shape. It had fundamental changes. It seemed to be written by an amateur. I have a whole detailed thing that I wrote out.
May I see that email? So this is before she hires you. You give her your take on it.
Yes, we met that same day.
Hand it to my bailiff,
yes.
please.
And she, what's on top is that she says, I totally agree.
Okay.
No.
So hold on.
Okay, sorry.
The
right.
response is first, and my email is followed. It's in order.
Okay. So he emails you on July 13th at 1:11 a.m. I take it other people also don't sleep. I have now read the script twice. I am excited to dig in and discuss my notes with you. Overall, I think you have a charming idea, characters, and world, but the script does not deliver as it should and must. In my professional estimation, it is a result of a writer who simply is not up to the craft skill level required. There are fundamental problems, all of which I can remedy, so fear not. Of point of view, who is this movie about? Too much time with secondary characters, many missed opportunities for heart and character development, clear sense of 3-act structure. It's a 7 or 8 paragraph email to which you do respond, thank you for your wonderful detailed analysis. I agree completely, right?
But no.
No?
Well, I
Well,
want
I'm
you to
reading
know.
from your email.
Okay, but hang a second. I wrote him an email the day before, July the 12th. You see, the original script was going to be a low-budget movie. As it grew, which is why I wanted the script better, and so did the investor. If you have a low-budget film, and then you get somebody's going to put a couple $1 million in it, it need to be better. So anyway.
Who was going to put a couple $1 million in it? That same investor or somebody else?
The investor that I brought forward, because what a producer does is bring the story, brings the talent, brings the crew, brings the money.
Okay.
So on the 12th, the day before he sends this email, I already told him the parameters, that here's the lookbook, here's the script, and here are the 9 points that need to be included,
Let me see your email.
which is before the one that he just gave
Yes,
me.
I know that's not a good thing, okay? You keep saying it's before. Well, then when he writes this 20-paragraph, synopsis about how the whole thing it's a lot of work, then your reaction should be, wait. I got 9 things I want you to do, pal. That should be your response instead of, I totally agree.
No,
but in any event, let's take a look at it. It was such a pleasure to speak with you today. My notes to be incorporated into our story, and you say 9 things. Where
Yes.
do you tell them these are the only 9 things I'm hiring you for?
Okay. I never said that's the only thing.
That is correct.
Okay,
and in
but-
fact, just a second, you end up spending how many weeks doing a rewrite?
I was given 3 weeks. I was asked to do it in 2 weeks. I said, that's tight even for someone who writes fast. I said, can I have 3? And I wanted delivering it in 2.5 weeks. But may I respond to this?
Yeah.
When a producer brings me a script and says, these are the problems I think it has, it's like someone pulling a car into a mechanic and saying, this is the problems. It's my job, my responsibility to say, no, these are actually the problems. I said, no, this is actually fundamentally
he wrote
what's wrong.
such an extensive email. That's what I want to ask you about. The email is talking about, he talks about, look, I read both scripts.
Okay, good.
It took me 5 hours.
Good.
Okay?
'Cause I
didn't even need to read them.
Okay, good.
I didn't need to read them because this is a contracts case, which we're going to talk about. But I went ahead and read them because I wanted to make sure that nothing that we talked about would then all of a sudden entail that. So I did read them. That first script was pablum. It was really tough.
I
It
understand
wasn't that interesting. It wasn't that funny.
I understand that.
What he wrote was infinitely better. Not that but my opinion doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because it truly doesn't matter. It's your opinion that matters because you're the one that hired him.
But even
okay?
more important than all of this, the star talent that was hired.
Who was the star talent that was hired?
I had 8 people, and I really don't want to reveal their names in here because I don't think it's appropriate. But I gave you the LOIs that they made copies for.
I saw that.
Okay.
Were all those people hired?
They were absolutely LOIs, verbal agreements with me and the roles. But the point is, the lead actor, which was helping me get all the other actors, his character was not even in Steve's rewrite. Okay.
And we're
very
referring
big
to
deal.
the dog named Bentley, right?
Yes, and the Oscar-winning actress, her role had been changed. If you have actors prepare for something, and then we're going to do
Wait, how did they prepare for something? You don't even have a final script. I know you're in a big hurry to get this done, but the script wasn't even finalized, so nobody was preparing for anything.
Okay.
They basically just saw, this is kind of an interesting, enchanting kingdom, king and queen kind of thing, and yeah, I'd like to be a part of it. 2 days of taping, here's my agreed-upon price. That's all that was there. Nobody was preparing their lines.
Hang on, I didn't say prepare their lines. I said prepare.
So just a second, just a second. So whatever talent you had, you make this sound like you wrote out, my main talent that I had hired already, but your main talent that you had hired could have done any of the other roles, or you could have said to him, bring him back.
Okay, there was...
Let's stop. Let's talk about the contract. There is a very, very extensive, many page contract that was going back and forth between the two of you for lawyer. Why are you shaking your head?
Because my name's not even on it, and it was never signed by anyone.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't.
I'm sorry. Why would you shake your head? You know, and I know, that memo, that contract wasn't signed. You know, and I know, that the money people hadn't gotten around to signing it. You know and I know that his lawyer and your lawyers or the money people's lawyers still had details, but you also know that you looked him right in the eye or on the cursor and said to him, I'm in a hurry, I need you to rewrite this, please start. And then you gave him $5,000. You gave him $5,000, right?
I gave him $5,000 out of pocket expenses
and
from
then, just a second, because I find your disdain, the condescension with your shaking your head to be a little appalling, because then he says to you, I can't start writing this unless I know that upon delivery, I'm going to get the other $5,000. Are you guaranteeing it? Because I'm happy to wait for the lawyers to finish. And what do you respond when he asks that?
So the defendant doesn't like the script. The judge says it's good. Is the defendant required to pay?
I feel as if the defendant's not required to pay if they feel as if they don't like it.
And I get it. They don't like it, but the judge, at a point, the judge is saying, look, you got to be reasonable, and I've read it.
Right. I think if the services were rendered, they should pay. Whether or not, I think it's up to him to decide if they like it or not.
You buying that?
No, I think they should pay.
I think they should pay too. I definitely think they should pay. Like, if it's a job, you need to pay.
Okay, going inside the courtroom.
I gave him the $5,000 because the investor was
What do you
away.
respond to whether you will make yourself personally liable?
I wasn't going to make myself personally liable.
Hand me the email. On August 23rd, when you had been writing for, I guess, a few weeks, you wrote...
At this point, I'm almost ready to turn it in. I'm concerned that for almost 10 days or 2 weeks, she has had the longer agreement, and I've not heard anything from she was the one who indicated, which is not uncommon, that it wouldn't be her signing, but the executive producer.
Right.
But what was uncommon was she forbid me or my attorneys to CC or send or contact that executive producer during any of this process.
Well, the important thing to me is that on August 23rd at 11:50 p.m., you write her and say, hi, Trish. I will have the script for you late Friday or first thing Saturday for sure, little smiley face. On a business level, since has not reviewed, commented on the writer-director agreement as far as I know, I would like your assurance via a reply to this email that you personally will be honoring the $5,000 due to me upon script delivery. Not approval, delivery. Thanks so much. So excited to get it to you. Best, Steve. What was your response to that?
I don't even remember. It was 2 years ago.
Well, then let me read it to you.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Steve. In Vegas now, but I assure you, you will receive your second installment of $5,000. He only asked one question. Are you going to assure I get that installment? Are you going to make yourself personally liable? And your response is, you will get it. Everywhere that I see this contract discussed is $5,000 for me to start writing and the other $5,000 upon delivery. Nowhere does it say approval. In fact, that contract that didn't end up getting signed gives him all kinds of creative control, makes him the director, talks about how he has right? And why were you even contemplating that contract if you don't respect his creative direction or experience?
I never anticipated he was going to write a completely different script, that he was going to take out my lead actor that was really, really important to the script.
If you want a character written back in, then you collaborate with your writer. Why didn't that happen?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Because I tried to contact him for 4 solid days. I called, I emailed, I text, I called, I emailed, I text. He didn't answer. He didn't answer.
Stop.
Okay.
Stop. Hand me the emails.
Yes.
Okay, I have emails.
You hand me your emails too.
May I say something? You're right. But what happened was she said, as soon as I'm back from Vegas, this is a late Friday night, as soon as I'm back from Vegas, you have to meet with me Sunday morning. We have to go over this. This is totally different. So I wanted her to be able to read it calmly. I wanted perhaps maybe cooler heads like her various associates she was working with to possibly read it. So I told her, I wrote her Saturday morning in an email I just gave you, Saturday morning.
Wait. The Saturday morning email is a response to her. I want to see her email to you.
I can show you these. I have those emails.
What
But I
date?
would like to say about this.
Can I read the emails I'm
Okay.
asking to read before
Yeah.
everybody keeps wanting to say whatever they want to say? I'd like to read them. Okay. So this is on August 26th. It is at 3:27 a.m. Everybody needs to sleep. Steve, as I stated clearly multiple times, I wanted to see what you were writing to ensure you were on the right track. This story is not even close to the original script at all. I told you to improve upon the original story and never stated anything about creating a completely different story. We must meet as soon as I return to LA. And then you respond, we have referred to this as a rewrite, never a polish. Blah, 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 blah. You're defending yourself on, and then you say, I'm available to meet on Tuesday. Why didn't you just meet with him?
I did try to contact him. I'm saying, hey,
I'm sorry, I'm looking at, show me proof you tried to contact him, because
Okay.
the only thing I see is proof he tried to contact you.
I'm saying I don't have every email from 2 years
Just
ago.
show me what I asked about. But it doesn't even matter. Do you know why? Because none of this matters but one thing to me, and that is the contract. What is here? There's a 20-page contract that never got signed that has the name of the investors. And then there's a verbal, different contract between you and him. And what is that verbal contract? I don't have to guess at it because it is codified in your emails. And that verbal contract is there will be $5,000 paid before I sit down to, oh, and by the way, he's going to be the director. He's going to get $75,000 for directing and writing combined, 5% of the $1.5 million budget, with, you know, this going to writing and this other part. There's a lot of money he's supposed to make. I just don't get why you didn't meet with him instead of having all, why didn't you just meet with him?
I asked so many times, Judge,
I'm sorry.
to meet
There's
him.
an email from him literally that weekend saying, I can meet you Tuesday. Why don't you answer and say, I'll meet you Tuesday? You know what I think? I'm going to tell you what I think.
What?
I think the money people pulled out. And then you just don't want to talk about it anymore. You have a counterclaim against him for $10,000 because you are out a bunch of money. Why? Why didn't you just find another writer if you have these backers and get it the way you wanted it, or make it back to the original pablum that it was? Why don't you do that? Because I have a feeling that what happened is the backers backed out. Okay, but whether I'm right about that or not is irrelevant. I have one job here, and it's interpreting the verbal contract between you folks. And based on the emails that I have already read out loud, here is that verbal contract. Number one, you get $5,000 before you start writing. Number two, you write. Number three, you get $5,000 when you deliver the rewritten script, not when I approve it. And oh, very important, number four, when you ask her, are you personally insuring this? Because I am not going to do this because I still don't have a car. Don't worry. You'll get your $5,000. So here's what's going to happen, folks. On your lawsuit against him, to recompense you, because your statutory maximum is $10,000, you say you're out $15,000 in the location, sites, and everything else, $0. And on his lawsuit against you, $5,000 plus the statutory interest from the time that you delivered the script.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Doug's in the hallway with the litigants.
So the judge has issued her verdict, and the plaintiff is going to get $5,000 that apparently your verbal contract and the contract you had stipulated to him. He gets $5,000 when he delivers. What are you thinking right now?
This is 2 years ago. I didn't have a copy of every email, and I didn't even think it was necessary because I never signed any contract. It wasn't signed, and he knows that. He didn't deliver. I was out over $16,000 out-of-pocket expenses on this project.
Yep.
And a year and a half of work.
Well, I'm sorry
So,
for you, but
yeah, me
that's
too.
the way it goes. Okay. Stephen, you know, it's really interesting. This is not the kind of dispute we normally hear in a small claims court.
I filed in small claims because I didn't want to go through the expense and not be able to collect what I really felt I was owed, which was the full $75,000. So I went through small claims and it worked out well.
You're going to get $5,000, but that's probably the end of it.
Well, a lot of writers, and I actually wanted to be on TV with it because a lot of people are writers are treated very poorly from private individuals like this. They try to get away with a lot, and I didn't want her to get away with this.
Well, good enough. You made your point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, good luck. Interesting case, Harvey. What do you think?
Okay, a couple of things. Number one, the plaintiff guaranteed the money, so he's bound by it. But the bigger thing is this, that when you make a deal with somebody and you say, look, I want you to tweak a script and it's got to meet my standards, I get it. But at a point, you've got to be reasonable. So the judge can, listen to what the defendant says, but at a point, the defendant has to use a kind of reasonable analysis, and if the script is good, got to pay.